Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is 2023, and the Grief Hour podcast is ready for another year. Vic, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Alex?
You know, new year, new me, all that stuff.
Oh, yes, of course.
I guess, did you have a good New Year's? We haven't talked in a little while.
Did. Yeah, it's been a while. I took a little time off from gaming. You know, I went to go see the parents for Christmas. Spent New Year's with Haley, and then I was actually just back home again. I surprised my mom for her birthday, and then, yeah, I'm ready to get back to the grind, man. Lots of stuff to talk about, lots happening everywhere.
For sure. Yeah, my New Year's I spent with my girlfriend. We had a fun night playing some, it's like a murder mystery kind of game, like a closed case file that you order on Amazon, you solve it, so that was fun. Yeah, and then the next morning I went to the Packer game, which I got my money's worth for, where they blew out the Vikings, so that was fun to watch.
Sure did.
Yeah, good New Year's for me. Sounds like you had a good time.
I sure did. Can't wait to see what we've got in store for our viewers, though, Alex.
That's right. And just a friendly reminder for all you viewers out there, if you want to skip to a different chapter in the video, you can do so on the slider below.
Sure can. And starting us off here, the first chapter, quick chats. Well, no quick chats here for us, Alex, but we can quickly chat about our New Year's resolutions for, I guess, you can go over some for your whole channel, and we can kind of go over what we want to do here for the podcast.
Sure, well, I'll start. Okay. So, for starters, we'll just talk about the channel as a whole. My New Year's resolution is to really keep up with creating content and actually making a true upload schedule. I've been pretty good about it up to this point, but I actually took the time to put together like a calendar where like I mark off what days I record video content, what days I'm editing, what days I publish. So I think in the future we're going to see a lot more consistent content and also more quality, because I'm looking to trim back my episodes or my videos down from an hour to more like 30 to 40 minutes so I can spend a little more time editing. And as for the podcast, I think we're doing pretty well. One thing that I was thinking maybe we could look into is, I know we cover a ton of topics every week and we kind of breeze over them. But, you know, one thing I was thinking is maybe if we trim back on certain sections, maybe, or not so much trim back, maybe like do a little bit less, but go more in depth with each one. One thing that I was thinking, especially when football wraps up, is we could talk more about YouTube related content, you know, kind of like Mogul Mail in a way.
Okay.
Like almost have a Mogul Mail section, you know, talk about, like, for example, this week, we'd be talking about Logan Paul's cryptocurrency scam that got exposed. You know, stuff like that.
Shocker. Another Paul brother getting in trouble.
So those are my ideas for the podcast this year. And
definitely. I'd love to really flesh some stuff out and get some, I don't want to say like boiling topics, but, you know, we have a little more of a Skip and Shannon back and forth here, especially with, you know, football out of the way, the big, I don't want to say meat and potatoes of the podcast, but I mean, like, that's really where we started. It's gonna suck when the Super Bowl rolls around.
Right. Well, when football's done, there goes 40 minutes of the podcast, right?
Yep. Good luck, guys. We'll try our best to expand basketball. Hockey's hockey. I'll see you at the Stanley Cup playoffs, guys.
Hey, all I know is the puck is black, right?
Pretty much.
Honestly, you know, the whole reason we started this podcast was because you and I had our late night talks about random anything.
Oh, yeah.
And if we could make segments longer than 10 minutes, you know, more power to us. If it means we flush things out more in depth, and I think instead of talking about, you know, a whole breadth of just like everything that's going on, we could focus on the bigger stories and give our actual 2 cents instead of just sort of reporting the news in a way.
I like it. I think that's a very attainable goal.
Not too ambitious, you know. The other goal I had for this podcast is it'd be really cool if we could get like 50 views per episode. I think that's another good goal, because we've been hitting our 30 mark pretty consistently, like every week.
We love
Wouldn't
that.
you say? So, So I think if we can do that, that'd be great. I'm going to try and share the podcast more. And also that brings me up to the next point is, I had talked about having the podcast be on other places like Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. So I've looked into that, and there's a few programs or companies out there that be pretty easy to do. So I'm going to talk to my friend Andrew and see about getting this podcast to more outlets and trying to keep growing the channel.
Lovely. Alex, real quick, but while we're talking about growing the channel, thoughts on social media? I know we've got the Discord going for our viewers and subscribers. Don't forget to add yourself. Alex, make sure you put a link in the description.
I will put a link to the Discord in the description. Yep.
Any thoughts about any other social media outlets, or are we going to stick to YouTube and Discord for now?
My plan, and this is part of the upload scheduling, I don't really see the need to expand to like Instagram or Facebook at this point. Like nothing like that.
Fair enough.
But I would like to post more TikTok content because I think that'd be a good way to reach a lot more people with minimal input. Just put a couple clips in there from this podcast or some of my Let's Play videos just to try and get people to come to the channel. So any ideas you had, or you kind of agree with what I think?
I love those ideas, honestly. And I think the only way for us to keep going is to get the ball rolling, or dribbling rather, into basketball, Alex. Last time we had talked about a couple of the Christmas Day games, our little Christmas special. Make sure you go ahead and watch that too, guys. Got to get all the content here. We discussed the big one here for both of us, Celtics versus Bucks. Great game. Wonderful to watch my Celtics beat the Bucks. It wasn't anything too special. Only like 21 points. What's that? 7 threes? Yeah, I can do that. That's fine. 139 to 118. Great win for the Celtics, but lately the Celtics and the Bucks, honestly, have been playing some solid 500 basketball. Not great. I'm not concerned, Alex. I believe both these teams will do fine. Can't stay hot forever, can't win them all, got to take your rest days here and there. I think they'll be okay. What are your thoughts?
I think for the long term, I'm not too concerned. I'll give the Bucks perspective here. They've been skidding a little bit lately, and I think part of it is just Drew Holiday and Middleton both have been on and off quite a bit lately, almost like a part-time player. And obviously, you're not going to win as many games if your star players aren't playing. I mean, you can get lucky and take a few, but long term, if they're never playing, that's an issue. I guess the only long-term concern I have is if they keep missing all these games, how does that affect seeding? You still want a decent seed in the NBA and the playoffs.
You want a decent seed no matter where you play, especially if you have playoff hopes. You'd wish you could play every game. From Celtics perspective, they're not hurt, but they're getting healthier, and they've been working Robert Williams back into the lineup, and that's really kind of where I see it started. Like, his first day back was a little before that Bucks game. But, the nights he plays, he's been doing okay. But, ever since we've gotten him back and adding him to more and more minutes, it's been, this weird, back and forth winning and losing games.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's just he is rusty or, we were on this nice, great path, and then we hit a speed bump trying to change everything we had been doing fine.
I will say one big concern I have in the long term is what the Brooklyn Nets have been doing lately, because it's not good for either of us.
No, it is not. They've made a huge push, right, Alex?
On November 28th, the Nets were a 500 team at 11-11, right? Since that point, they have only lost 2 games, and they're currently 26-13.
That is very impressive.
It's impressive to see what the Nets are capable of when Kyrie actually plays.
Well, Alex, when he's not making some unnice comments to the point where the team has to get rid of him to save face, and he actually gets minutes, it's really good for them. Like any star player, honestly.
Kyrie, comeback player of the year. Yeah, and speaking of NBA stuff and getting hot, there's been a lot of high-scoring games lately from individuals in the league.
Oh, yeah.
More than I've never seen this before, actually. In the last month, last 30-some days, there have been 9 games where a player has scored 50 or more points.
Wow.
And I'm going to go through each of these players.
Okay.
this should go without saying, but Luka Doncic has been pretty good the last month.
MVP ball.
MVP. Honestly, at this point, if you want to give him the MVP, I think that's probably fair. You have to finish out the season, but if he keeps doing what he's doing, I think there's a pretty strong case, because I don't think the Mavs would be anything really without him.
No, like if any of those point totals are cut in half, like they lose those games.
Right. So Luka's had a 50-point game, a 51-point game, and a 60-point game, all within a month, which is insane.
Dude's playing 2K on the court.
So then the next player on this list, which is kind of surprising, is Pascal Siakam from the Toronto Raptors. I know. And he had a career-high 52 points against, of course, the New York Knicks. And this next player, who's kind of a surprise, given how he's been doing lately-ish, Klay Thompson had 54 points. He's been kind of having a down year.
54 out of Klay is surprising to you?
I think so. I mean, given that he's coming off of those couple injuries, he hasn't really been totally the same since.
All right.
Like, I know he's capable of it.
You said it's a surprise for this player to score, and my mind went to Ben Simmons.
Oh, if Ben Simmons was on this list,
he need to get tested.
He's on Michael's secret stuff. Next player on this list, not entirely surprising given this team, but Anthony Davis from the Lakers with 55 points.
That team's kind of figured it out lately, haven't they? They've been on a little bit of a streak too.
I mean, they've been better. Like, they need to keep it up though if they want a chance to.
No, I didn't say they could keep it up. I just said, man, they're doing okay. They're playing the easy part of their schedule. I'm trying to be nice.
Next up is Giannis Antetokounmpo with 55 points, which I learned is his career high in points. I did not know that, but
that makes sense. Actually, I could see Giannis going for 60. It's just I don't think it's feasible for him.
Well, when he doesn't shoot threes, so 55 points, basically only shooting twos, is pretty good.
You gotta imagine that's twos and free throws, right?
Twos and of course, twos and free throws. So not too surprising, I guess. But then the next guy on this list, perpetual whiner Devin Booker with 58 points. Congrats, Devin.
You shot from beyond the arc. Great job.
Congrats on your win of getting more than 50 points this season. That's pretty much all I'll say about the Suns. And then the big one, the one that we've all heard about, or I think almost everyone's heard about, Donovan Mitchell, 71 points.
That was wild.
Where does that even come from? I mean,
I didn't know people could score over 70 points a game. I thought only Wilt Chamberlain could do that.
I think the only people who score above 70 points are Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan? I mixed them up. Not Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant. He had his, 82? 80?
Something ridiculous. I don't remember.
It was over 80 points. Now Donovan Mitchell was 71. And then I think the next lowest is Devin Booker with 70 from a few years ago.
That's right. Yep. Wild stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know what set this off. All these players getting all these buckets.
They knew everyone was home for the holidays and had nothing better to do.
Like, I'll put up a 50 burger.
Too easy.
On my own.
Well, you gotta remember, those Luka ones were super high assist games for his teammates too. Like, it was just flowing that day for him.
We're going to get into our NFL playoff picture, and joining us for this segment, we have Andrew. Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
Hi, everybody. How's it going? I appreciate you having me back.
And we're all three of us are here now, because last time it was just Andrew and I kind of slotted us in, but we actually have Vic here too.
Well, yeah, I'm excited.
More
Our first consistent guest.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
So, Andrew, I hear you want to kind of give us a little update on the Damar Halin situation, and also something else with how the NFL is handling injuries. Want to kind of lead us into that topic?
Yeah, so obviously everyone knows from last week, a horrible event took place Monday night where Damar Halin took a hit to the chest and he got up and immediately collapsed. And he's doing really good right now. They released this today. He flew home from the hospital. Oh, wow. He's back home in Buffalo. He tweeted about it. Yesterday he was tweeting during the game, all game. He watched the whole thing. He FaceTimed the Bills on Saturday, and he's doing fantastic. But a couple things I want to talk about regards to this is, first, I want to prove all the naysayers wrong and the shit talkers wrong. Anyone who has given T. Higgins any crap about the hit, that was a football play, and that's going to happen. It was a freak thing that happened. He wasn't trying to hurt the man. They just ran into each other. So anyone who's giving T any garbage about that, that's just wrong. You clearly haven't played or watched enough football in your life to understand stuff like that will happen, and it's crazy how that turned out. The other thing I wanted to talk about was people discrediting, giving the NFL crap about them canceling the game. Not only suspending the game and then down the line canceling and saying, oh, well, it's so late in the season, how can you cancel this? There's so much going on. What happened was crazy. Expecting those players to go back out on the field, even if it was the Bengals. The NFL is a family, and you're there and you see someone get CPR for 9 minutes. I don't expect that game to be played, let alone get played down the line. I give props to the NFL Players Association, for talking about it and discussing with both the Bills and the Bengals coaching staff. They were actually all in one room at one point discussing this, and they decided to suspend the game. So I give them props for that.
Andrew, I hear you have some things that you don't think the NFL has been doing well this season.
Yep, and it's happened 3 times this year. And that is to the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Tua, with his first concussion earlier in the year, where they said it was a back injury. I don't know how you can play that off. And then the second one, which also happened in Cincinnati, which is wild, where he got hit in the middle of the field and he was on the ground and everyone saw him curling up and everything, and they realized, hey, this is not good. So they took him out. Obviously, he was out for, I don't remember how long. I want to say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then It happened again, third time, against the Packers on Christmas Day, and they didn't do anything about it. And in the second half, he threw 3 interceptions, and they were uncharacteristic for him. And you can see the play where it happened. And I don't know how the NFL didn't catch that. They have so many cameras, so many replays, and no one caught it and said, hey, get him into the concussion protocol. They didn't do it the first time. The second time, they clearly had to do it. And the third time, they ignored it. And that could ruin the man's life down the road, or his career. He could retire sooner than later, or if he takes another hit, you don't know what that could do to him. And I thought the NFL has handled it horribly, and they really need to get a hold of that, because the players mean everything to them, but it's also more than just a game. We're talking about a person's life here, so you can't just risk it just because you want to make money and throw somebody out there. You got to make sure your players are all right, and concussions have been their number one thing that they still haven't figured out, and it's still been an issue for them. So that's what I wanted to say about the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, this brings up the age-old question, like, does the NFL really care about player safety? And I think they've definitely come a long way from the old days where they straight up denied CTE even existing. But, you know, in more recent years where we've had clear examples of players like Antonio Brown, for example, who, that man's got problems. I mean, you can't tell me Vontaze Burfict didn't send that man to the shadow realm and back for, like, head injuries.
Has not been
Is he
the
still
same
on the
since.
run from the police? Did they ever catch him? Like, I haven't heard anything new about that, to be honest. Last I heard, he was holding out from getting arrested for a domestic violence charge.
Yeah, I have no idea. He hasn't posted on Twitter if he's in jail or not yet.
He'll probably end up like Andrew Tate. He'll post some dope social media video and they'll catch him just
He'll
based
get
off
outed
his pizza
for
box.
Yeah, pizza box scenario, something like that.
Papers.
Speaking of losers, Andrew, you've got some, I guess, quick blurbs here about a couple teams.
Yeah, these are teams who were on the verge of making the playoffs, or people thought they were going to make the playoffs from day one. And I'm going to start with the team that got eliminated last night, and that was the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire. He looked like crap yesterday. He looked really good against Minnesota, but it's been every other week with this guy where he's missing...
Amen, brother.
He's missing
That first
wide
half
open
wasn't bad.
throws.
That second...
Yep.
Yeah, that second half was abysmal. The first half wasn't too bad.
And then obviously the second one with pushing the trainer. He said he didn't know who it was, but you shouldn't be pushing anyone in general, let alone a trainer. But that was just stupid.
That doctor turned around so fast. He was ready for it.
That doctor was going to take
square it
him.
up. He was.
My money was on the doctor.
Honestly, the Packers losing to the Lions, like the Lions get a cute little story out of it, and the Packers save themselves a week of pain. But yeah, let's move to the Lions actually, since
Speaking
we're
of them,
talking about them.
Dan Campbell is the answer. That man revived this team from a 1-6 start. Everyone's like, fire him, get rid of him. That man could get their entire team to run through a brick wall if he wanted to, because that man is
the balls of that play calling though.
The balls.
First 9-game win season in like 6 years.
Yep. And then all they really need is some pieces on defense and maybe another weapon on offense, but their defense could use some help. They've been looking good lately, but they still need a couple pieces. That team could be a threat next year. And
they can start that with the 6th overall pick from that Matthew Stafford trade this season.
Yep. And that was actually my next team I wanted to talk about was the LA Rams. They went all in, and they just did not give a shit about it because they are the worst defending Super Bowl champion ever at 5-12.
And they did have a lot of players leaving the offseason and a lot of injuries this season, too.
Yep, and even before some of the injuries, they just did not look like they were there.
No, they didn't.
And apparently the coach
they just kind of laid down and died.
Yep, they don't
season.
care. They have a Super Bowl ring. Do you have one? I didn't think so. Let's talk about the Washington Commanders.
Yes,
Carson Wentz?
Course.
You started Carson Wentz to put your season on the line, and then after the game you go, oh, we could have been eliminated? Dude, figure it out. I expected better from you. This is a top-tier coach.
Not really.
I expected better from that coach. He is.
No, this is exactly what I saw coming.
Yeah.
It's the Commanders. This is what we expect from them.
Yep.
This is what I paid to see.
Yeah. Next team I want to talk about, Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Kittenmans. He's the future. That guy's got a bright future. He started to figure it out. He's been playing clean football lately. Still working on the turnovers, but he's been doing really well. And I just find it funny that Chase Claypool really wanted out of there and went from a team that just missed the playoffs to the Chicago Bears, who have the first pick, but it's the Bears. They're going to mess that up like I told you they would with Justin Fields, which they did. So good luck with that, buddy.
Well, isn't Claypool entering a contract season and he got beat out by like a 6th-round pick wide receiver for his job?
Yes.
I can't blame him for wanting out, for moving from 2nd on the depth chart to like 5th.
Yeah, well, I thought he was still one of their best receivers. He just needed an attitude adjustment.
Probably a hard one. That's why they sent him to Chicago.
Yeah.
They had to split up Chase Claypool and Juju just to keep that bad TikTok energy away from each other.
True.
Yeah. Speaking of bad energy, I want to talk about the Tennessee Titans. They are frauds. Started 7-3, and I said this earlier in the year that they were frauds at 7-3, and they finished 7-10. They lost 7 straight, and their biggest issue with that was their defense was all right. It was average at times, but they need a quarterback.
I was gonna say, if only they had a good wide receiver, like imagine if they had like AJ Brown on their team. Wouldn't that be something, right?
That'd be crazy. Or, they could just build up that O-line. That O-line's pretty average. If they just got some new linemen and a couple blocking tight ends and, you just go, 20 personnel and go big man for 50 straight plays, I'm sure Derrick Henry can rush for 300 a game and 4 touchdowns.
Last 2 teams I want to talk about, and they were 2 teams that everyone thought, they made big moves over the offseason. They're going to be wild to watch this year in the division alone. And I'm just going to combine them because they were just both shit, and I didn't really want to watch any of their games. Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Raiders, Derek Carr I don't think really was the issue. It was their defense. Their defense could not hold the lead, and Derek Carr under pressure occasionally can mess up. They still needed to figure out how to use Devontae Adams, and they're going to be losing their running back and their quarterback, so it might be a rebuild. and Devontae is going to be in the middle of it, and he chose that life.
This is definitely, it's been a horrible defense, but really it's the Belichick disciple. They leave him, and they do horrible. Josh McDaniels is not fit to be a head coach.
Yep.
Right. But let's move on to Denver here. You tied them together, correct?
Yep.
Let him cook.
Honestly, yeah. Russell Wilson, the last 2 games, started showing what he could actually do, and someone should tell him that the season is 17 games and not 2. And the biggest thing they need is a new head coach, because they obviously got rid of theirs because Hackett was a hack. He's not made to be an NFL coach. And I think a new coach for that team will help them next year, and I could see them being a threat. Not make a deep run or being a number 1 seed, but they could be a bubble team.
And for the viewers at home, I just want to remind you that the Russell Wilson trade, the Broncos got Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick. And in exchange, the Seahawks got Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick, 5th-round pick, another 1st-round pick, and then another 2nd-round pick. The Seahawks got a top 5. Yes, they got the playoffs, and they got a top 5 pick in exchange for Russell Wilson. I think they did well.
Let's ride, boys.
And that actually kind of filters into our winners here. The Seattle Seahawks. It's great for them making it at 9-8, and they get to play San Francisco, who they lost to twice this year.
Yeah,
right?
I don't see them doing much there.
Yeah, they're going to get throttled. Their defense is ranked 28th in the league, so have fun.
No, Gino's got this. He's got this. It's fine.
Trust in Gino.
No one thought he'd make it this far. What's one more game?
Yeah, speaking of someone who no one thought would make it this far, New York Giants at 9-7-1. Daniel Jones.
Who would have thought?
I still don't think he's the answer. He's shown signs this year. He's turning the ball over less, but he's still throwing picks, and he still cannot hold on to the ball.
Brian Daboll's been a bright spot for that team, though.
Yep.
Oh, give him Coach of the Year, right now. Well, actually, no. Do you give him Coach of the Year, or do you give it to Dan Campbell? Because, let's be honest, Dan Campbell probably is deserving too.
I think it should go to Dan Campbell. He had how many wins last season? 2? 1?
2 wins.
And he quadrupled that this season. I think he should get that. He should be a lock. What probably isn't a lock is the Dallas Cowboys, right, guys? How about Dak Prescott?
Hey, they them boys.
They're paying him a lot of money to put up Derek Carr's stats.
Yeah.
I think we can call them the Couch Boys after next weekend, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
15 interceptions in only 12 games. Props to you, man.
Wow.
Yep.
Have fun losing to old man check down Tom Brady.
Speaking of that game, next up, number 4 seed here is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. NFC South. Joke.
They should have just
I feel
eliminated that division.
It just, I feel like we don't have to talk about this at all. Props to Tom Brady. He will get a free wild card win, and then he's looking at playing the 49ers, right? Pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess it depends on if any of the lower seeds win, but
Yeah.
he'll probably end up playing the Eagles, right? If all 4 top seeds win.
Yep, and they're
I
going to
believe
get
so.
Throttled if they can't make it past Dallas. They have only scored 21 offensive points once this year, and that was 2 weeks ago. And their point differential is -45. Yeah.
Okay, could you imagine if Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, though?
I'm going to just
Well,
stop
then you
watching.
retire.
Yep. Well, I bet he's really rooting for the New York Giants against the Minnesota Vikings here.
Yeah, Vikings have been on kind of a run. And not the kind that you believe in, but it's a run.
Amazing that they won the division this year. They're a 3 seed. I guess they're better than Tampa Bay. I mean, it's Kirk Cousins. If he doesn't play a noon game, he's out of the playoffs, right?
Yep, he's going to...
The noon nightmare.
And speaking of nightmares, let's talk about the 49ers, who have won 7 straight. They better hope to God Jimmy G doesn't somehow return. I read a couple weeks ago that he could.
I will not take Big Cock Brock slander here. I think...
No. If Jimmy G's healthy, he's the backup still.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They better hope he doesn't come back because they should
Okay,
play
because
him.
like Brock Purdy
Yes.
has earned that starting job. Speaking of big cocks, we got to talk about the Eagles flying their way to the number
Eagles,
1 seed.
fly.
But Jalen Hurts is still hurt, so
Well, luckily they've got that bye week. He should be good to go for the divisional round, I think, is their goal.
Yeah.
right. It wasn't too major of an injury.
No,
as
it's
I
just a little
recall.
shoulder tear, something you don't want to risk and rush him back. Especially, I think it's on his throwing arm too. I don't blame them for sitting him, and they're still the number 1 seed, and they're perfectly set to hopefully fly right through these playoffs, man.
You think so? I mean, if you
I know they struggled a little bit at the end of the season. There's some people calling them overrated at Andrew, but this team may have had a semi-easy schedule this year, and they get the benefit of playing the NFC East, which was actually competitive this year.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise to
Surprisingly.
everyone. And it's just, it is what it is, man. That team made great trades. They changed that roster around, and I think it really shows. And when Hurts was out, it showed that team was not the same team without him, and is still, in my heart of hearts, the MVP. But without playing the last 3 weeks, he's probably going to lose to Patrick Mahomes.
So you're saying the Linsanity run is coming to an end for the Eagles?
No.
I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying once he comes back, they'll be fine. No way Philly lets me down in 2 different playoff series, right, Alex?
No way.
No way.
So we gotta keep moving here. We'll go to AFC, I think.
All right, let's rapid fire
So-
these. All right, Dolphins.
Dolphins, from our AFC playoff here, Dolphins number 7 seed, 9 and 8.
Barely
Congrats,
made
you
it.
Tua
made it.
is messed up. So
Good luck playing the Bills. We'll see you on the couch next week.
Yep.
RIP, smoking that Dolphins pack. Mike McDaniel, I hope you keep your job because you're funny, but that's about it.
All right, speaking of hurt quarterbacks, playoff Lamar's here. Hurt again. Will return just in time for the playoffs to throw the game for his team, who probably even shouldn't even be here, in my opinion. The Ravens have been a joke. They really need to pay Lamar because he's really the only thing that works on that team. But then again, if they pay him everything, they can't get him weapons, and then he's just going to complain about that and turn into a budget Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, remember before the season when everyone was all like, man, I mean, how could you even play a single game like without a
Yeah.
contract lined up? I mean,
Imagine getting
What
hurt
if he
at the
got
end of
injured?
every season. Speaking of contracts and quarterbacks that probably deserve another one, Justin Herbert here is for the playoffs, and he has an over 500 career record.
First time ever.
wow.
Baby.
First time ever.
Surely he doesn't lose this and start to trend back towards 500, right, guys?
I think they could pull
He
it
is
out.
playing
It's
for the
gonna be a
Chargers.
close game.
Definitely is, especially when they play the Jaguars, who got in over the Tennessee Titans, guys. Crazy
Congrats.
season for them.
They barely got in.
They drew.
I just like to point that out. I mean, they did win the game, but like,
They are the Tampa
didn't
Bay
look good.
Buccaneers of the AFC.
ooh, I like that comparison.
I really just barely squeaked in. I mean, good team. Like, they had decent stats all this year. Don't get me wrong.
Let's be honest, there's only 3 teams in the AFC that really have a shot here to get to the Super Bowl.
And it's the
Starting
top
with
3.
number 3. Yes. Starting with number 3, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're getting really hot at the right time. I know they might have to play Buffalo at home,
In
but
Buffalo. Yep.
in Buffalo, at Buffalo's home.
There we go.
but-
We got there.
I don't see why they couldn't do it. I mean, the last game they played, Cincy was leading, but that was also in Cincy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like Cincinnati beat the Chiefs during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can beat good teams.
Yep.
True.
I think that's going to be the game of the playoffs. Those two meet up at the time. If they both win, Cincinnati will have won 8 or 9 in a row, and the Bills would have won 8 in a row. I think that will be the game of the playoffs. It's going to be a crazy high-scoring affair. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be fun to watch. And I
Love
think
it.
the Bills are going to win, and that's the next team we're going to talk about. Downside with them is Josh Allen makes bad decisions. He has, I think, 13 interceptions this year.
A lot of those in the red zone, too.
Yep. Him just kind of trying to gunsling it, which gunslingers aren't bad, but you got to be protective at times, too.
I mean, if he would stop trying to force his balls into places that don't belong, no offense to Ben Roethlisberger, I think, Josh Allen could be in the MVP conversation.
Definitely could. And speaking of MVPs, he'll probably Mickey Mouse his way into this one. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs playing ring around the rosies with the AFC, guys. Crazy.
But he can't beat Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And that is our
insane.
saving grace. If anyone makes it out of the AFC, it better be Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, and somebody better take this man down.
Yes. Agreed.
And luckily, they can do it with a medium-ranked rushing attack because the Kansas City Chiefs cannot defend anything above average.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that kind of previews all the teams going into the playoffs. And Vic, there's a lot of teams that are just barely around 500, and I heard you had a little segment you wanted to do with us.
Yeah, I got a little game for you guys. I'm going to give you some stats. I'm not going to give you the point differentials of these teams. I'm just going to tell you how many touchdowns they scored this season, how many points a game, and roughly their first downs, and we'll go with their third down percentage this season. And I want you guys can choose. Do you guys want to try to guess these teams, or do you want to be like, that's the team that made the playoffs?
I'll try guessing the team.
Actually.
Yeah. And what record are these teams?
All three of these teams will be 8-9. 1 out of 3 of these teams made the playoffs. I'm going to go through all the stats really quick, and I just want you to remember Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, and then I'll give you 3 names to match the teams. You guys ready?
Yep.
I am ready.
All right. Team number 1 scored 32 touchdowns this year, scored 313 points. They had the best first downs here with 346 of them this season, and had a 37.4% on converting third down. Team number 2 scored 42 touchdowns, 370 points, had 333 first downs, and had a 39.5% converting their third downs. And team number 3, 39 touchdowns, 364 points, only 288 first downs, and 35% converting third down. And of course, these 8-9 teams are the Patriots, the Packers, and the Buccaneers.
Team 3 is the Packers. Team 2 is... Oh, no. I'm going to say Team 3 was the Buccaneers, Team 2 is the Packers, and Team 1 is the Patriots, I think you said.
I'm going to say the Packers are Team 1 because of that third down percentage. And then I'm going to say the Patriots are Team 2 with 42 touchdowns. And then the Buccaneers are Team 3 with 39 touchdowns. And that's just because of the
first downs, the only 288 first downs. Wow.
Yeah.
Wowie wow. Alex, you had a wonderful 0 for 3. And Andrew, you were 1 of 3.
Yay.
You got the Packers right. The Packers had 42 touchdowns this season with 333 first downs and 370 points. Alex, you said the Patriots were the Packers. Are you you coming over to the fold? Should I get you a Patriots jersey?
Nah, I just thought maybe the Patriots... I shouldn't have overestimated the Patriots' offense without Josh McDaniels. That should have been the clue there.
All right. The team you said, both of you said were the Buccaneers, was actually the Patriots with 39 touchdowns, a measly 288 first downs, and 35% on third down. And actually the only team on this list with a positive point differential of plus 17. The Packers, with their loss the other night, ended up at a negative 1 point differential, and of course we heard earlier the Bucs have a negative 45, which obviously means the number 1 team was the Bucs, with actually the most first downs out of these teams, which is incredible.
It's all the check downs.
But they did score. They did, yeah.
Yeah, dink and dunk Brady down the field. There he goes.
Yeah.
Little 3-yard
And actually,
chunks.
and I have the fourth down percentages here too, and I wonder if that would have thrown you off a little bit. The Patriots had a 38.5 on fourth down. The Packers had a 38.7 on fourth down, and the Buccaneers had a whopping 55.6% on fourth down conversions. But yeah, and then we'll talk about the 9-8 teams. But that was a fun little game, wasn't it, guys? Speaking of fun, we have the most fun time of the year, guys. Wild Card Weekend.
Lots of football to be played here, and we're gonna go through each matchup here and just kind of give a quick little preview for each game. We're not gonna give you points or hard predictions, but we'll kind of give our general thoughts and what we think will kind of make or break these games for these teams. So, Vic, do you want to start off with the first game here of the week?
Yeah, of course. Kicking it off and probably kicking someone right out of the playoffs, the Seahawks and 49ers at 3:30 on Saturday. Seahawks at Niners. We talked about this a little bit earlier. General thoughts that 49ers defense is going to do what they do. They're going to keep the offense, rolling, make sure, the other offense doesn't play. And Big Hawk Brock, bro. Big Hawk Brock.
Big Hawk Brock. Exactly.
Retweet.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement with this one, right?
Yeah.
Unless Andrew. Yeah. Okay. I love the Geno Smith Linsanity run, but he can only do so much. But the next game on our docket here, which is actually, I don't know, maybe I want to watch this one. The Chargers take on the Jaguars.
Definitely. We'll be tuning in.
This one is a big matchup in the sense that there really isn't a true favorite. I saw somewhere that it's like a 50-50,
Really?
either team. Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
That's what I saw on when I was watching the Packer game the other night. They were showing a preview for the games, and they had it at a 50-50. So the Chargers should win this game. I think they should win this game.
They should. Trevor Lawrence didn't look good last week, and I know he has the capability to be great, but I think this is he's playing a team that knows how to win and has not a losing record, so might be a little harder.
Yeah. However,
Andrew, what
last
do you
time
think?
Jacksonville won 38-10 against them in September.
That's true. That was a long time ago.
That is a
though.
long time
Yeah.
ago.
Both these
But
teams
they
have
did
come a
it.
long way.
Yep. I'm gonna give it to the Chargers as well. The spread is 1.5, and I think it's gonna be like a 3-point game.
And speaking of games that are going to be close, just kidding. Dolphins are taking on the Bills, where we get to see concussed Tua go out there with his puppet strings and all being controlled from the sky
If
cam.
Tua plays this game, Roger Goodell needs to be fired, first and foremost. There's no reason why Tua should be playing. I just give the Bills their win and move on.
Agreed. And who's their backup? What's his name?
Skylar
Thompson.
Thompson.
Yes, that's it. I mean, Bills fans are probably happy that they basically get a bye week.
Yep.
I don't want to
They get
jinx
a bye
them.
without getting a bye. They're not exactly happy about it, but it's what happens when you miss a game.
It's gonna be a good old-fashioned shit kicking.
I kind of want to watch that game I just want to know if Tua's playing. Just to see the reaction around the NFL.
True. And because you can't put him at noon, next game we've got Kirk Cousins hosting the Giants. It's a primetime game, isn't it? I guess technically you can say it's primetime afternoon,
Yeah.
quote unquote America's Game of the Week slot.
Are we taking the Giants in this game?
I am.
I don't-
I feel like we have to,
I
right?
am.
Because no one wants the Vikings to move on, right? Are
No
you
one wants
taking
the Vikings.
Alex?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
It just seems like the situation where the Vikings should win since they're hosting this game. They're the better
Right.
team, but
Better.
That's right.
They're better
Sorry.
whole team.
you couldn't see it.
Not
I
even
air
whole. This is
quoted
even.
better. I air quoted better. So
Okay, thank you.
So we're good. We're good there. The Giants just seem like a more determined team, Vikings are just there because they won 11 one-possession games or one-score games or something crazy like that this season.
Yeah, something stupid.
So I think that's got to wrap up sooner than later.
Let's just hope Danny Dimes actually does good things, because if he does bad things, for some reason Kirk Cousins will be on divisional round weekend, and that'll just be depressing.
It's something no one wants to see. But a game that I want to see for sure, Ravens-Bengals rematch. They just played last week.
Yep. Is this a coin flip game, or do the Bengals actually get the host? Does anyone know?
No, it's
I
Bengals
believe
get the host. It's only the AFC Championship is the coin flip.
Oh, it's if the Ravens won last week, they had the coin flip opportunity, right?
That's what that taunting was. Okay.
Yeah,
Threw
I
me
believe
off
that's
with
how
that.
it works.
Yeah,
It was a coin
sorry.
flip, but the Bengals still won the
That's why
division.
Joe Mixon pulled up the quarter in the end zone after scoring that touchdown.
Ah, that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah,
But I'm
anyway,
excited to watch Joe Burrow.
I
see
am
what he can
excited to
do.
watch playoff Lamar lose, and we'll see where he signs next year.
What, sign next year? He's leaving?
I wouldn't stay if I were him. Would you?
But think about all the talent he has around him. How could he just walk away from that?
Oh, yeah. Let me think about
Like,
that talent real quick.
Name
Like
5
J.K.
talent
Dobbins.
players on that team.
Mark
Gus
Andrews,
Edwards.
Justin Tucker.
Tucker doesn't count.
He's a
good
skill
field-
position. That's a skill player. Kicker takes skill.
Okay, I'm still
I think
waiting.
Andrew disagrees with you.
I'm still waiting
All right.
for
Yeah.
I'm just proving a point that there's no one else to name besides those two.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's talk about a
and-
team that has all the talent in the world and will still find a way to lose. The Cowboys taking on the Buccaneers.
Please tell me this is on ESPN2 and I can just watch Peyton and Eli roast the shit out of the Cowboys.
It is.
Yeah, it's on Monday Night Football, so I think so.
Oh,
ABC and
bless. I
ESPN.
can't- Oh, I'm watching on ESPN. I'm watching the Peyton and Eli cast of this game because it's the only way to watch anymore on Monday Night Football.
Because I think this is well, I think, wouldn't we rather see the Cowboys lose?
Oh, big
I-
time! I am
Big time.
Tom
Yeah.
Brady at home in the playoffs. I'll do my best not to bet against him until he plays like an actual opponent because you know what, this might be close, but I'm gonna take dink and dunk for a last-second field goal.
I'm on a
Okay.
different wavelength than you. I am taking the Cowboys. And then they're
Why?
going to get eliminated next weekend by the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be 2 weeks in
So
a row. I get
you
to watch
wanna-
two teams I despise just get shit stomped. Well, I don't think they're going to kill the Buccaneers, but they'll beat them.
They should, but will they? That's the question.
Anyway,
And then, so Wild Card Weekend's gonna be a fun time. Let's just skip everything else in the playoffs. Let's just go straight to the Super Bowl here. Talking about our prediction for matchups for the Super Bowl.
Alex, since you're really the head here, would you like to go first?
I sure will. Coming out of the AFC, I don't want to say homerism because like I'm not a real homer here, but give me the Bengals. They're hot, right? They are on a big win streak. I like Joe Burrow. He's clutch. I know they have somewhat tougher road to get to the Super Bowl, but I think they can do it.
Yeah.
And then from the NFC, maybe this will come as a slight surprise, but give me the 49ers. That defense is big. I think, and their offense is good enough, even with Brock Purdy, that I think they can score enough points. As long as their defense holds. Neither one seed I have full confidence in. Eagles are, Jalen Hurts banged up a little bit. They've been meh lately. And then the Chiefs, I don't know if I trust their defense to get it done.
Fair enough. Andrew, as the guest, would you like to go next?
Sure. For the AFC, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. They're still
Okay.
hungry from last year, from the coin flip, and they're riding the whole Damar Halin thing. They played lights out last week. Their offense was stagnant a little, but I think they're going to ride it to the Super Bowl. Whoever wins that Bengals-Bills game is going to take it, but I think it's going to be the Bills because they'll have that home field advantage. And then from the AFC, or the NFC, I actually agree with Alex too. 49ers, mainly because I have a bet on them that they'll make the Super Bowl. I need to win that $10 from my
Okay.
dad.
Sounds a little biased, but okay.
Well, I've been saying for a while now that they are a favorite. I was the one who put that quick chat that, do you think they're a favorite to win the NFC? And I still think they are. They have a really good system where they could pretty much put any quarterback in there and they can play pretty good. And Brock Purdy has showed it, and their defense is top notch, one of the best in the league, and they're going to be home for pretty much the entire playoffs. And I just don't think anyone's going to stop them.
All right. Well,
All right. Well, Vic, that leaves you. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm gonna start off with the more controversial of the two. I'm gonna start in the NFC.
Cowboys.
I'm not picking the Niners. I'm not picking anyone playing on Wild Card Weekend, guys. I am sticking with Philadelphia. Give me the Eagles. Look, Jalen Hurts will return. This Eagles team will be fine. They're going to cook their way through the NFC. I think it'll be a struggle in the championship game, but they're going to host it. They're going to have a nice, fun football game to watch. I don't care if it's against the Niners or somehow Tom Brady dink and dunks his way to the NFC Championship. I don't care. I'm flying with Philadelphia. They let me down in the World Series, but goddamn it, Philly, this one you've got to have, right? And now the AFC gets a little tougher. Everything in my body wants me to say Joe Burrow, but I know that the Bills just have that mentality.
Wow, going on a limb there, huh? Wow.
That mentality. Yep. Damar Halin behind them, like, they're going to want to do this for him. I would love Joe Burrow to have a revenge tour and win the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. And if he does make the Super Bowl and the Bills don't, I don't care. It'd be great. I don't want to have to play the Super Bowl champs if they beat the Eagles. I'm not saying that they will. Twice next season. I don't, as a Patriots fan. It'd be great if they didn't make it. But, I feel like Eagles-Bills, it's been the favorite since these two teams were near the top and, the playoff picture started coming together. And I'm going to stick with it. I like it.
All right.
I can respect
those are some big power teams. And speaking of power teams, it's my week for coming up with the power rankings. Everything's all said and done. The season is done. The standings are set. I guess starting with number 5, give me the 49ers, which is surprising considering I picked them to show up in the Super Bowl. But
number 5?
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
I guess. I saw them fall in top 3.
They have to prove it. Like, they're good, but like, if I really want to, like, if they would be a top 3 team if they went out and beat one of these teams directly, but I can't really, put them on that pedestal just yet. So, number 4, Chiefs.
Wow.
How?
I said wow.
Because it's my list.
I said wow.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm putting the Chiefs at number 4 because the 3 teams above them I think are better and have beat them in the regular season, which leads to number 3, the Bengals. Bengals are 3-0 against the Chiefs, so by process of elimination there, I think Bengals deserve to be a top 3 team. And then number 2, Vic, you're not gonna like this. Fly Eagles Fly at number 2. I'm sorry, I just think our number 1 team, who are the Bills obviously, are just overall probably a better team than the Eagles. Nothing against the Eagles, it's just, that's the way it goes. Any thoughts on this list?
I feel like the Bills and Eagles are interchangeable. I don't hate that. I feel like the Niners should be at like 4 or 3 at least. Like, that's just disrespectful to Big Hawk Brock if you're riding with him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They gotta really prove it though. I mean, I think they can do it.
I put them over the Chiefs easily.
You put the Chiefs at 5.
I don't care who you play Ring Around the Rosies on, or whatever that you do in your spare time, Andy Reid. You're a number 5 power ranking team. I'm sorry. I did it the last time I did power ranking teams out of pure respect for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The only reason I put them at 5 was really to keep the Cowboys out of the conversation.
I think we've done that a couple of weeks where we purposely did things to keep the Cowboys out of the top 5 and the Vikings out of the top 5.
The Couch Boys are going to end up on the couch at some point. They always do. They always let their team down because, no matter what, it's always their year for the couch.
It is. And Speaking of the couch, I think we need to get into some couch gaming, or, aka our gaming section of the podcast. But before we do that, I just want to thank Andrew again for joining us on the podcast this week and giving us some thoughts on the teams and a little bit of predictions and stuff. So thank you again, Andrew, for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great time. We obviously talked for a minute there, but I think it was good content and the fans will enjoy it. And I hope to be back for Super Bowl weekend, the weekend before it, and see who's in there.
It's the first podcast back. It can be a little longer.
Yeah, it's new year, new us. But
exactly.
We'll have to see how those predictions we made turned out and who was right, who was wrong, or
definitely.
All three of us wrong.
We'll have to pull you back closer to the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, we'll give all of our Super Bowl predictions and kind of.
Maybe we should talk about NFL awards here soon too.
Ooh, yes, definitely.
Anyway, but thanks, Andrew. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
I think it's time to pick up the controllers, Alex.
It is time to pick up the controllers indeed. Moving on to our gaming section. First thing we want to talk about with the gaming section, there is a new game out on Steam, and it's called Goose Duck.
Okay.
Which, obviously a play on Duck Duck Goose. This game is an Among Us copycat, and it's honestly on pace, or you could argue it's already on pace, to be bigger than Among Us ever was.
Really? Even with Among Us new hide and seek mode releasing?
Apparently so, because this all started when, I'm gonna mess up this name, Taehyun, or V, as the BTS stans know him as, streamed the game back in November. So that's how it got its first big exposure.
Oh, those darn K-poppers getting everything.
I know, the K-poppers are just out to get all of us. But on January 5th, Goose Duck had a peak concurrent players count at 560,000, which is a lot.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I mean, compared to similar games like Among Us, I'm sure it's maybe more. But compared to COD, let's say we're in the millions here.
Right, but it's good for an indie game. I'm just saying, as big as Among Us was, Among Us only peaked at 447,000 players. So it already has over 100,000 more concurrent players. Maybe I should play Goose Duck on stream sometime and see if it's.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should see what this is all about.
Hear that, guys? Pay attention to one of the streams in the next week or so, and
well,
maybe
make sure you pay attention to the Discord so we can get a group together. We'll play with viewers.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That'd be a fun community night. The Discord that I can find where can I find this link?
As long as Alex puts it in the description, it'll be in the description, viewers.
Viewer, if you go down to the description right now and there isn't a link to the Discord, please like and subscribe and hit that bell. Or if there is a link to the Discord, also please like and subscribe and hit that bell. Anyway, Vic, do you have any news about any other big games?
Oh, yeah, like I was saying before, Alex, I can't fix bugs, and neither can Call of Duty. Warzone 2 is having a horrible bug right now where helicopters just explode, Alex. Isn't that a great feature?
What is that thing where things just light up all of a sudden? Spontaneous combustion? Yeah, like that, right?
Exactly. Apparently, it's the hitbox indicator that is wrong with a helicopter. Where if it gets too close to a building, or if someone accidentally flies into your rotors, the helicopter just spontaneously combusts. Shocker to no one, Alex. Activision hasn't commented on it and hasn't put anything in any sort of patch notes for it.
Hey, you know what it probably is? It's a small dev team. Come on.
These
really
guys
is.
Can't keep up. AAA billion-dollar company, so hard to do things. You got 3 people working on it overseas, and they only are available 4 hours of the day. It's really hard to manage bugs in this game.
Thoughts and prayers for the devs for Call of Duty.
And this game's supposed to get 2 years worth of content, Alex.
Yep, and we are on month 2.5, right?
3?
3? Sure.
Didn't we launch in October, November?
October. Yeah. So we're a quarter of a year in-ish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 1 fiscal quarter has gone by, and yeah, no big deal. We're fine.
I guess we're fine.
Did you know who is milking it, Alex?
Who?
HBO.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that, aren't we?
I think we have to.
Yeah,
I
let's talk about The Last of Us, the new TV show coming out on January 15th to HBO. This is just the newest installment of video game adaptation turned movie, TV show, that genre.
Yeah, you got there. I think we got it.
I mean, I think a lot of people have heard about it, but I looked into it a little more, and it actually
Okay.
took quite a while to get to this point.
Really?
Yes. So apparently, this whole Last of Us story
Okay.
originated as like a TV show or movie pitch, and it didn't start as a video game. So Neil Druckmann, do you know who that is?
He's a writer, or is he he's the one on the show, right? He's
No. He's the director, or like he's the one that
right.
like the story for The Last of Us, like when
Gotcha.
the game. He like wrote the basic story for the game. So he pitched the original idea to George Romero, who I guess made Night of the Living Dead, part of a college assignment back in like 2004.
Really?
And I guess George Romero didn't like the story, and he chose someone else's idea instead. So get this. I think this is really interesting too. So a movie adaptation for this The Last of Us story was in the works with Sam Raimi. Do you know who that is?
That is the director of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
Good job.
I know that one. Those are my favorite Spider-Mans. That's a topic for another day, though.
Mm-hmm. So Neil Druckmann got a little busy with World War Z. I don't know if you know what that game is.
That was the horrible Brad Pitt movie.
Yes. That one. So
I
Neil
say
Druckmann,
horrible, but I've never seen it. But, you know.
Yeah. So Neil Druckmann kind of got zucked away, and he kind of lost interest. So then, as you know, eventually The Last of Us game did come out. It was a commercial success. We saw The Last of Us Part 2 or whatever. That was also successful. And then here we go into the actual movie adaptation, right?
Okay.
So a couple little fun facts. Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, if you remember her, she was considered for the role of Ellie, who actually I think would be a really interesting casting option, but she might be a little too old. I think that's probably why they didn't go with her. So next little fact I can share is Pedro Pascal, who was cast as Joel from The Last of Us. There was some concern that he'd be seen as too similar, or the whole story would feel too similar to like The Mandalorian. You know how Mando, Baby Yoda, but this is Joel and Ellie, kind of like that whole partner goes on a journey. It's kind of a reach.
He adds a big reach. I don't know who thought that would be okay to say, but you know.
But it was enough of a concern that Pedro Pascal had to get permission from the Mandalorian's producers to even be in this Last of Us adaptation.
What?
Yeah.
No way. Favreau was that concerned about it?
Apparently. I don't understand, because I feel like the two they're like
So
totally
different.
separate things. Like one's on Disney Plus, one's on HBO. And also, I don't think the target audience overlaps a lot compared to like Mandalorian and The Last of Us. Like, how many people watching The Mandalorian do you think are going to watch The Last of Us? Like, I mean, a fair amount will. But like the Facebook mom types that like Baby Yoda aren't going to be watching The Last of Us. So you can get rid of that whole Facebook mom demographic right there.
It really would. Honestly, it'd be a highlight and or a stud, Alex.
Yes. I was actually going to work on a transition there too, but you beat me to it.
I did, just a little bit. Here's the last little bit, Alex. I'd love to leave our viewers with our thoughts on the week. And, man, it's interesting to do these this week. It's been a crazy time for football, basketball, gaming, and it's hard to really just pick out two things from this week that have been utterly dud or stud worthy.
Can you try and think of one? Like, do you have some?
I've got a couple things here, and I feel like you and I might be super similar on this. And I know I told you before we started recording I didn't want to touch on this as much, but I feel like my dud has to be the NFL for working out that awful, horrible playoff contingency report. That was horrible. We couldn't have just said we'll push everything back a week.
Well, the
and play this
Bengals got
game
the
right
short
before.
straw out of this whole thing. They kind of got screwed. Actually, the Bills and the Bengals sort of got screwed off of this.
They did, because it literally, like, if the Bengals lose today, did they play earlier?
They won.
Okay. But it still comes down to a coin toss, doesn't it? Or do they have home field over the Ravens?
I think there are certain scenarios where there is a coin toss, but like I was thinking more of the fact that the Bengals had no shot at possibly getting a 1 seed. And for the Bills, it's a matter of if the Chiefs won, which they did, they automatically get a 1 seed. And
if the Bills had beaten the Bengals, they get the 1 seed.
Right.
Because they beat Kansas City earlier.
The Chiefs lost to the Bengals and the Bills in the regular season. And I think that's the biggest thing.
This whole situation was handled horribly on the NFL's part.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect the players' decision to end the game then and there. I think they made the right choice. But I think the NFL could have done a little bit better trying to work around them. And as far as the stud goes, I feel like it has to be Damar Halin, right? Great, wonderful to see him up and around.
I saw his latest picture of him like giving a thumbs up from the hospital, and that was just really good to see.
It's awesome to see him have motor movement, and I feel like that's just a stud for everyone. Because I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's not even just sports; like everyone rallied around him and was stunned by it. I feel like he's earned that
easily. He's definitely earned a stud status for the week.
And honestly, if you want to repeat, won't be mad.
I won't repeat because I think I'll try and be original here. Okay. I'm going to give my stud to the athletic trainer that ultimately saved his life out in the field. I think that's
fair. Actually,
a good stud too.
You're right.
I mean, it could have been anyone, I guess, on the staff there, but apparently his quick thinking and medical knowledge and just he was there. He resuscitated Damar Halin out in the field, and if he hadn't done that, he probably wouldn't be here today. So I'm going to give it to that trainer for my stud for the week. And then, gosh, my dud. I was actually going to do the NFL also for bad handling. Yes. But actually, I thought of an individual that could probably deserve this dud status. Joshua Dobbs from the Titans. Did you see
throw it on him?
I am. Wow. I'm sorry. I know he's a backup, and I know like his job is literally to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry for 40 snaps in a game. But like on fourth and whatever season on the line, you throw a check down to lose the game. Like just air it out. What are you doing?
You know what? I can't hate on that. And I think it was a horrible move firing their general manager right before the end of the season. Like they have like 4 games to play, and they were already on a losing streak. They fired the GM, who had great relations with everyone on the team.
Yeah, surely that won't be a locker room issue.
Nah, it definitely wasn't. Definitely wasn't missing the playoffs. No, I think we hit them all. Those are perfect.
I think we're hitting that time. We're hitting that time.
I think it's time to get out of here, Alex.
It is time to get out of here because I have things to do. You have things to do. The viewers have things to do. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on next week's episode of the Griefer Hour.